What's up, Voicey veterans? This is your captain speaking, and I would like to welcome you to the weekend show. Today's subreddit is r/EntitledParents. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, this story was called Attack of the Entitled Planet. So, I play a lot of D&D as a hobby, and I love to DM games on a regular basis. Unfortunately, I live in a small Midwestern town, so I rarely get people for private games. Luckily for me, the game shop in town hosts Adventurers League, which is an organized campaign group developed and ran by Wizards of the Coast, the company behind Dungeons & Dragons. Without any alternatives, I started DMing AL games at this game shop. I've been doing it for years, and I've always had fun. About a week ago, I wanted to start a new private group. Because I was bored with experienced players, I decided I wanted to get people who were new to the game. So, I put up flyers around town saying I was looking for people who wanted to learn to play D&D. After a week of people applying and interviewing, I decided on 5 people to make up my party. The party consisted of a barbarian, a wizard, a paladin, a ranger, and a rogue. Most of them were in their late teens, early 20s, except for the rogue who was a kid around the age of 12. I set our first session for the next week. Considering this was their first ever time playing, I decided to do something special. When I texted each of them the date of their first session, I also asked them about their favorite color. When the day of the first session came, I went to the game shop early and bought each of my players a $4 set of Chessex dice in their favorite color. When the players came in, they were happy and grateful, except for the rogue. Rogue looked at his dice and got a disgusted look on his face. I noticed this but continued on with the session. But all throughout the session, he was very standoffish and very unenthusiastic. This started to become a bit of a problem. So, when we came to a break, I pulled the rogue aside and asked him what was wrong.
I don't like my dice.
Okay, what didn't you like about them?
They're ugly and I don't like the color.
Now, to be fair, these dice were pale green with yellow accents to them. So I have to agree they were not the most attractive dice. Because I feel like I made a judgment error, I decided to rectify the situation. Okay, well, how about after the session we go over and pick out a set that you like?
Really?
Yeah, I don't want you to hate your dice, but I'm going to need you to be engaging with the group. Rogue agreed and his mood changed considerably. We continued with the session with no problems. When the session came to a close, Rogue jumped out of his chair and ran straight to the dice. After I packed my stuff up and quickly chatted with some of the other players, I met up with Rogue. However, when I approached him, I noticed he had already picked out a set of dice. A $50 set of pewter dice. Bro, I ain't buying you those.
But these are the ones I want.
I know, but those are $50.
But you said I can get whatever set I like. I like these.
Dude, I was expecting you to pick a cheap set of dice. Those are just too expensive. I'm willing to get you dice, just not ones that expensive. Rogue thought about it and got my point. He begrudgingly put down the metal dice and apologized to me. We then spent a good 10 minutes picking out a set of reasonably priced dice. He settled on a nice green and black set of $8 Chessex dice. Once that was settled, he thanked me and we left. Now, I hope this was going to be the end of the story. Unfortunately, as I've stated in the past, God hates me and wants to prove it. So, a week passes and I'm back at the game shop setting up for the next session. After I finished setting up, I noticed I had some time before my players showed up. So, I decided to kill said time by talking with one of the employees. Suddenly, in the middle of our conversation, I felt a disturbance. A shift in gravity caused my body to feel like I was being pulled into something. The air smelled of fried chicken and sulfur. I knew in my heart that something wicked was coming. Entranced by curiosity's seductive power, I turned to look at what diabolical force was approaching. What my eyes saw was a short yet extremely obese woman wearing a muumuu and sporting a haircut that said, "I want to speak to your CEO." And she was glaring at me with the anger of 1,000 beholders. From behind her, I could make out, surprisingly, a familiar shape. It was Rogue. It suddenly dawned on me that this was his mother.
Are you the guy who runs the Dungeons & Dragons game?
Yes? She then rushed towards me with a speed I didn't think was possible for her. Within seconds, she was right in my face.
My boy told me you were being mean to him.
How so?
He told me you wouldn't get him the set of dice he wanted.
The dice he wanted were $50. I offered to buy him a set of dice that was under $10.
Well, he wanted those dice and you offered to buy them for him, so buy them.
I'm not buying him those dice. They are $50.
Don't you dare try to cheat me. I know you get an employee discount.
Suddenly, the employee I was talking with chimed in. Ma'am, I can assure you that this man doesn't work here.
Don't you dare lie to me. I know he works here.
Ma'am, I don't Then, without warning, she slapped me across the face. This was no light slap. This was a Saitama level slap. Now, to his credit, Rogue tried to intervene by telling his mom to calm down and that it's no big deal.
I don't want sass from you, boy.
She then turned back to me.
Now you get my son whatever he wants or else I will have you fired. Do I make myself clear? Look, lady, I don't work here and I'm not buying those
She then slapped me again.
How dare you raise your voice to me? I want to see your manager!
Even though I was at my wit's end, I tried one last time to reason with her.
Read my lips. I don't fornication under the consent of the king work here!
She then slapped me one last time.
Don't you dare curse at me in front of my son!
Now, I'm usually not a confrontational guy. I typically try to keep my calm as best as I can. But after she pimp slapped me for a third time, something snapped in my mind, which led me to say some very harsh things.
Listen up, you freaking crazy hand planet!
Punt.
I do not and have not freaking worked here! I do not get a freaking employee's discount, and I will not buy your crotch goblin a set of $50 freaking dice! Furthermore, due to your crappy actions as a parent, your son is no longer accepted at any of these games! Now, step off!
Rogue's mom looked visibly surprised and insulted.
I'm not leaving until I get those dice. Well, it looks like you need to take your sausage fingers and stick them somewhere inappropriate. Find the $50 that you made last night work in the street corner and buy them yourself. Because that's the only way you're getting those dice. Now, get the heck out of my face before I slap 400 pounds off of your Ralphie May looking hiney.
At about this time, I snap out of my temporary insanity. Rogue's mom looks stunned as if no one had spoke to her like this. Rogue's mouth was agape in disbelief, and the employee was a mixture of horrified and trying to hold back laughter. I braced myself for whatever retaliation she was about to unleash on me. Surprisingly, she grabbed her son and walked out of the game store. As soon as she did, the employee burst out laughing. Once my players arrived, I explained what ended up happening as well as why Rogue was not going to be playing with us anymore. They all had a good laugh. About an hour into our session, the store manager pulled me aside to ask why he received a call from a woman claiming that one of the employees was insulting her. I told him what happened and how she hit me multiple times, causing me to snap. After confirming on the security cameras, he told me that although I was justified in defending myself, he couldn't allow me to insult his customers. He told me that he was banning me for a month. I accepted and informed my players that we would be moving venues. We're playing our 5th session tonight at my place. And I got a new guy to replace Rogue. Goodness me. Okay, so that took a lot out of my throat, but that was a really fun read. I enjoy how that turned out, and I'm interested to know. Let me know in the comments below if any of you guys like to play D&D. Alright guys, this next group of stories goes by the name of Entitled Family Tales, Hellish Aunt and Cousin Edition. I have quite a few entitled people in my family, but my mother's side of the family, mother, aunt, and grandmother, absolutely take the cake. So here are some tales from my encounters with my aunt / her son over the years. Episode 1, Pigs in a Blanket. My aunt and cousin, her golden child and the baby of the family, often come to visit us and end up staying over. During their stay, it is our job as hosts to make sure they are happy with everything. They get our beds if they want them. We have to cater to their every need and we're not allowed to ever say no to them. During one visit, they made the spare room into a pigsty of dirty clothes thrown everywhere. They would eat while they walked around the house, leaving crumbs and drips everywhere. And they insisted on using shoes indoors and tracked mud all around our otherwise spotless house. Needless to say, when they were finally ready to leave, I could cry. I was so relieved it was over. However, they would not go through the hassle of taking a bus home. So my parents had to drive them home, a 2 to 3 hour drive each way. While they were gone, I was expected to vacuum and clean the bathrooms. I walk in to get started on my bathroom and I just stood there overseeing the chaos. There were dirty shoe prints everywhere because they flooded the sink, and when the water splashed on the ground, they just kept walking over it. The towels were grimy, and all I could think is that instead of showering, they were just cleaning themselves on them. My cousin is famous for going days without showering, despite running and sweating like the pig he is. But the worst, the absolute worst, was the trash can. We have a trash can in each bathroom with a lid. My cousin had peed on the lid, so it became a nice infinity pool. The lid was concave and absolutely filled to the brim. It smelled awful too. So I had to get on my hands and knees while crying to clean his pee that he did on purpose just for this reason. Oh man, okay, so that's disgusting. That is absolutely terrifying and I want to vomit just reading that. But how could this get any worse? Find out next time in episode 2, which is happening right now. Episode 2, food. My cousins eat a lot. Now, everyone always excused his behavior as, boys eat a lot and he needs it because he's growing. But he'll eat everything, especially if he knows someone else is eating too. He'll do it just so no one else can eat the food. This isn't a single story as much as a bunch of small incidents over the years. For my birthday, the family was visiting and my grandmother made some sweets. Since I had to work that day, my cousin ate all my favorite ones. He left all the ones he knows I don't like so he could eat them at a more leisure pace. But he ate 60 plus sweets just so I wouldn't get a single one of his. My grandmother made more the next day. As soon as he set the tray down, I swear to God, he stood next to it and just ate like he was starving, using both hands so one could shove food into his mouth while the other was reaching for more. He did this until all my favorites were gone, again, and left the others alone since I wouldn't eat them. When we go out with my aunt and cousin, it's always implied that we will pay for them. My cousin uses this to get the most expensive food he can find at every place we go. I've seen him pile a plate with insane amounts of food and not eat a single thing because he didn't like it after all, just because we're paying. He'd then proceed to make us pay for another meal at another place. Usually when my family goes out to eat, we get cheap fast food like McDonald's, and 1 meal per person. I've seen him demand and get 2 to 3 meals from different and expensive places. Whenever it's just the two of us and I refuse to pay, he threatens to go to my grandmother and tell her I starved him. Even though we are adults, I'm 25 and he's 21. They freak out because I'm starving him and he's just a kid, and I'm made to pay for whatever he wants. If I don't have money for both, I don't eat myself and pay for him. His mother, my aunt, absolutely approves of this and has done this to me when my mother isn't with us. One time we were going to buy donuts, an expensive treat where I live, not in the US, and I said I could buy 1 donut per person. My aunt instead asked for half a dozen mini donuts. They were almost the same price as the big ones, so it made no sense to buy them instead. I told her, again, I was paying for 1 per person, but she started making a scene and demanding I pay for what she wanted. I paid for her 6 mini donuts, my cousin's 2 big ones, and didn't eat anything myself, and I ended up with no money for food that week. Whenever she buys food for her and my cousin, they don't offer me or offer to pay for me. If I'm not paying for them, I must at least pay for myself. Oh, this poor guy has to deal with some annoying family members. Let me know in the comments below your annoying family members, because I know we all have them. If you don't, then you're the annoying one. Episode 3, Money Bags. As it has already been established, my aunt, grandmother, and cousin expect me to pay for everything. My aunt can't hold down a job, my grandmother lives off of a small pension from the government, and my cousin did nothing his whole life. Now at 21, he joined our country's Navy at the lowliest possible position, sailor's apprentice, after almost flunking the high school level test. And he's a national hero for being brave and strong and smart enough to do it. Yeah. He was deployed across the country and he's studying there for a whole year until he finishes the training program and is officially a member of the Navy. My own job often has me traveling a lot on business, since I work with engineering and my company has plants all over the country. So, whenever one of my projects is in another plant, I fly over to visit/oversee it. This June, I had a project in a plant sorta close to where he was deployed, so I asked if he wanted to meet up. I'm not that big of a masochist. While over the years I have distanced myself from my aunt and grandmother and have barely any contact with them, My cousin is kinda nice if we're alone and I can tell him no. It is whenever his protectors are around that he becomes an insufferable jerk. Fast forward a few days and I'm working from 10 hours a day at the plant when I suddenly get a message from my cousin that he's coming to visit me. That day, out of the blue. I send him my hotel address and say that I'll meet him there at 6:45 p.m. when I get there. When I arrive, he has a duffel bag, which I think nothing of because I go everywhere with a backpack myself. We go out for pizza, and since it was his birthday a few days prior and I can get reimbursement for my part of the meal, I cover for him and pay the bill. Dude never even touched his wallet the entire time. I don't even know if he had a wallet. We get back to the hotel, and as soon as I open the door, he walks into the bathroom and has a shower. Okay? At this, I'm beyond suspicious that something is afoot. Then he gets out of the shower and he's wearing pajamas. Oh, heck no. Now, if he stayed over, I'd have to pay for him to stay there. And while my company spoils us and puts us at pretty nice hotels, I don't get paid nearly enough to pay for the room myself, so it was a no-go. At this point, my aunt is calling like crazy, and as soon as I tell them that he's not staying, the lady proceeds to chew me a new one for throwing her baby out. Why can't you just pay for him? What's your problem? I tell her he's absolutely welcome to stay if he can pay for his own room. I throw around a crazy number like $600 to scare her off, and she's still fuming that I should be the one to pay. After 30 minutes of this nonsense, I tell them I'm not about to lose my job because of this and that he's going to have to get a cab if he wants to go home. We finally get her to end the call, and I actually hang out with my cousin for a couple of hours, which was nice. Then I see it's getting late and start telling him to call a cab. But it's gonna cost money to call a cab. Yep, that's how stuff works. Let me use your credit card then, I don't have one. Heck no! I'm not giving you my credit card number. Don't you have money? After 5 minutes of bad bluffing, yeah. Then you pay for it. I'll call you an Uber and set the payment as cash. If I'm paying, then I'm staying longer. If you stay longer, the cab will get more expensive late at night. That shut him up fast, and he got into an Uber. Thank God. I'm a spineless moron, was feeling sorta nice that I had seen my cousin after a long time and transferred him the cash to cover the Uber. That pacified my aunt enough that she stopped calling me and my parents to yell at us. However, they didn't seem to like that a whole lot. My cousin hasn't spoke to me since June. He must be mad that I didn't let him stay at my hotel, but just because I have a decent job doesn't mean I work to pay for his crap. And this is the last I heard from them. I moved in January of this year, so since I won't give them plane tickets, it's unlikely they'll ever visit me. And after the hotel fiasco, my aunt and cousin aren't talking to me anymore, so that was a bullet dodged. No epic conclusion, just a screwed up family and years of not knowing how these people can function in the real world. My grandmother and aunt still laugh at me and call me stupid/dumb for paying for my own stuff and not asking for other people to pay for me. But at least I have self-respect. And quite a nice life too. We need to congratulate this guy for leaving his toxic family, because while they are family, toxic people are still, toxic. I know it might be hard for some of y'all, but if you can get them out of your life, get them the heck out of your life. You'll thank me later. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.